I'm super excited to bring to you the AIA Austin Homes Tour for 2025. It's on the weekend of the 25th and the 26th of October. If you're coming to Austin or you live in Austin and you love architecture, this is a tour you shouldn't miss. Now, if you want to listen to this series on the podcast or watch it on YouTube, please do, and understand that I have each of the architects presenting the homes that they have on the tour this year. So there's 10 architects, plus I have Rob Gomez and Ingrid Spencer, who are also commenting on these homes. Now, Rob has photographed every one of them, and Ingrid is the director of the AIA Austin. These two are super knowledgeable and add really beautiful insight to what these homes are about from observers who aren't architects. So please tune in, listen, ask comments, and book a ticket and come on tour and see each of these homes over the weekend, 25th, 26th of October 2025. Look forward to seeing you there. Our guest for the Austin Homes Tour today is Candace Wong. Now, Candace and I podcast in 2022, I think, again with the Austin Homes Tour. And she's a wonderful architect. She's a great thinker. She's an effervescent personality. And with her design thinking, it's so considered. And the Sterling Cooper residence is what we're going to take you through today. This house is on the tour, of course. Candace, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
It's so good. You put yourself in this position. You came back on the tour.
That's true. I did show back up.
You showed back up. Yep, you're consistent. No, that piece about your home, I absolutely love this house. There's so many beautiful things with it. And I love the kind of overtones of the mid-century vibe that come through into it and the way you've treated it. So can you start out, tell everybody, who is Candace Wong?
Well, Candace Wong is an architect in Texas, Austin, Texas. And most importantly, I think I'm trying to establish my firm as something that's looking for like appropriately modern designs. So whether your house looks like, maybe more mid-century or more modern, or maybe a little bit more traditional or Texas ranch, right? Like every client, every home is different, and trying to find at least a little bit of a modern through line through all of those projects is what I'm trying to do as an architect and as a firm. So for this house, I'm just really excited that it's my own home. So the modern through line is kind of what I wanted it to be, but also, once again, still like the same as what I'm trying to do with the firm. It's like what is appropriate for the home.
Mm. Well, I think this is a really important point. Appropriate for the home, rather than, if it already is an existing home, rather than knocking it down and rebuilding it.
Yeah.
And, taking what it's got, these beautiful bones, and then making it a level up. It's like you're lifting it to now from what it was and how we live differently as well. So, each house that's already existing it's already had living in it, and it already has an orientation. It already has these set things. And so at what point do you go, okay, cool, we can work with it or not work with it? And that's, I suppose it's, if we can work with it, then as you say, lifting that game, lifting it so that it's now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the case of this home, that the Sterling Cooper residence, can you take me through the brief and your client brief? And for everybody listening, it is Candace's own home, and she said that before, her home. So she's having to eat her cooking here. She's living in her own work and with her family
and it's
as well.
Delicious.
Yeah, damn, she's made a good meal. It is delicious. I've seen all the photographs. So yeah, take me through the brief. And if you do it from sort of the client perspective, because I know you probably used all your persuasive ways with your client in this case, but also how you would do that in the greater aspect of, if this client came to you with this home, how you'd approach that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because the client brief, like in a standard project, you're meeting with a client or multiple clients, right? And you're trying to figure out what it is they're really describing, whether it's the pictures on Pinterest or, bullet points of things that they're looking for or missing in their home. You're trying to extrapolate what they're really trying to get in this full project, right? And you're creating that brief so that then you can work off of it and get them whatever they're really trying to get at, right? Like it's not
Mm.
just that bathroom, it's not just that kitchen. They're actually looking for a better lifestyle in their home because right now it's not quite working for them. So for this house, it was a little bit, you get to kind of jump ahead because you've got some of the brief built up in your brain about, like what you've wanted to live in and what you've imagined since you were a young little architect, right? But still, like I have a husband, luckily, fortunately, and trying
No,
to
no, that was
fig
that you still have a husband after
I
doing the
also still
project.
have a husband. I did and I still do.
And it's the same.
Yeah, and it is this good clarification. It is the same one. Yeah, and like he also still has hopes and dreams for what the home is to him. So it was kind of like a little bit of a naivete where I thought that I just get to like run along and do whatever Candace wants to do. But actually, I have Sean as well to talk about and consider. So that project brief kind of had to come out and be discussed with Sean about like, well, clearly we both love this house because when we bought it in 2016, it seems like a dream to be able to get this as your first home.
Mhm.
I never in a million years thought I would get such a cool house. I just always thought you'd get a starter home and then eventually you get something cool. But we got to jump right into it. And I actually didn't, when we bought the house, I wasn't able to come look at it in Austin because we were still living in LA.
Oh,
So
wow.
Sean came. He forgot to FaceTime me to like show me how the flow of the house was because he was so excited. And he just called me afterwards and just said, no, let's get it. It's so good. Let's get it. So, which is like a huge trust thing for an architect to just, trust your spouse that they know that the flow of the home is good.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we were both invested in the house, but it was built in the 80s, although it looks like it's kind of from the 50s or 60s.
Mm.
Built in the 80s, and it had some, some maintenance issues, a little bit of material items that just dated it a little bit, but generally really great bones. But what it lacked was kind of the connection to the exterior. And also it has this great view from downtown, which, the realtors like to show you the like drone view that you can't actually see from the house. And you could see like a small glimpse of the view when we purchased it. But, like it was just, a lot of the spaces weren't focusing on it as much as they should have been. It's just like a big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So the brief for us was to kind of make use of we've got almost an acre. So make use of this really beautiful site, kind of enhance the home beauty that it already had, but kind of uncover some of the, like the band-aids that were on it and really make the two things work together harmoniously,
Nice.
which I think we accomplished.
Well, the question would be, did the client think you accomplished them? And so
You
does
know,
Sean feel that it was accomplished?
Yeah, well, I mean, his only hope for the house was when we did this addition. Well, I mean, for
I
it
bet.
actually was remodeled the first time, and then this was the addition as the phase
Uh-huh.
two. So he just wanted a pool. So I think we really knocked it out of the park.
He just wanted a pull on budget, I'm
That's
sure.
all. That's all he wanted. The budget was a moving target, but this
Yeah.
is also during COVID, which I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
for
Yeah.
anyone that was in that space trying to design something,
Hmm.
prices were wild.
Hmm.
So, just like any other project, even though it was my own home or our own home, you've got to make some changes here and there. Like when the price of Western red cedar went skyrocketing, we
Yeah.
had to pull some of our scope off of the list because,
Hmm.
like we still have a budget. And luckily, we had that discussion at the beginning where we kind of prioritized all the things that we wanted out of a project. And we were able to use that as our guideline. So, maybe we had that whole list beforehand, but when the price of some of the materials skyrocketed, we had to kind of cut some of the things on the bottom. But that's also something I do in my process with regular clients is that we have that outline because in a remodel, or an
Hmm.
addition, you
Hmm.
know things are going to come out of
Hmm.
nowhere. So you know that you're going to hope for the top maybe 8 things and everything else is extra, so that you know that, if you're cutting a few things at the bottom, you anticipated it and you're still going to get those 8 major things.
Well, I was about to say, I think this is really key in the briefing process, and also like it's one thing to work with your, partner in this, and the same when you work with a client, those expectations of hitting the ones that really matter are really, really key, to bring to life out of it, even when prices do skyrocket or, scope skyrockets.
Yeah.
And you go, but hold on, the budget has to move with the scope or whatever. So I always think it's testament to being able to work together when you do a project on your own home. I've done them, you've done them. It it's this real thing about meeting each other's needs within it as well. And then the
Yeah.
same, what I think partners don't really recognize is that we do that with clients, and you do that with your client the whole way as well. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing. It's this interpersonal relationship where you're working to get the best for them out of what that is. This house is absolutely beautiful, and it is so beautifully nestled in the trees. I would love you to share some photos of it, but before you do, you can only share the photo I want you to share first is going to be the front door from the outside, but I want you to take me on a journey of the neighborhood, arriving and walking me in as if I'm on tour day. And I want to know
Okay.
the little nuances and secrets that I want to discover. I want you to tell me what I wouldn't discover if I'm just blasé. I don't think anybody's blasé walking through, but if I've just come for a look, I want to know where the cat lives. Yeah. No. Yeah, that would
Okay,
be
look, do
really
you want me
cool.
to also
Uh,
pull up the plans to reference for the
Actually,
people, any viewers that are
let's
looking?
do that. Yeah, let's start
Okay.
with we'll arrive in the street and pull up the plan so that we can see that.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. And for
Maybe,
the listeners, I'll narrate kind
yes,
of what
absolutely.
you
So
might experience.
if you're not on YouTube, this is your opportunity to see the pictures, and Candace and I will talk through what we can see in the home regardless, so that you do, as Candace says, that she'll narrate the experience that you're getting. And this will lead to that thing of driving up in the street. So take us from the street. We're going to park somewhere, and then we're going to
Okay.
walk somewhere down a driveway and arrive. And then what are we going to see? Where are we going to take our shoes off? Where are we going to um, start to experience the home? We start to
Yeah, so well, I
experience it in
think
the neighborhood. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to start from the street because we're in a neighborhood called Jester. And it's actually where Sean, he lived in Jester when he was a kid, which I think he never had any intent, he never thought he would be back in his like childhood neighborhood. But when this house showed up on a listing, that it's just such a cool house that it almost feels like you're in the California hills in like LA, but you're in Texas, which is I think my favorite because it brings all of my like
Yeah.
architecture life together, like LA and Texas. So you're driving to Jester, which you're not expecting this kind of house because Jester is kind of your typical 90s 2000s suburb.
Uh-huh.
But you're ascending Jester and it's a pretty steep hill. So you're actually going to park midway up the hill and you're going to turn off and you'll park, to see our house. And from the street, you can't really see much of it. So
Hmm.
it's a bit of a reveal and a surprise as you kind of then walk down our driveway. It's a really difficult driveway, but it's perfect for my Mini Cooper. You'll drive
I
down
drive
or
a
walk
Mini
down the
Cooper too.
driveway. Do you really?
Yeah.
I should have known. And you first are walking across a deck that breaches this kind of valley that separates the natural grade of the area and the house. So it's
Yep.
called Acorn Deck House. It's the style of the home. So you are, welcomed by a deck. You also get this really beautiful waffle door that takes you into that mid-century vibe. There's a lot of trees all around the site, so you're in a really nice shade. We've got a really wonderful live oak right at the front too.
Mm.
So it's just like it's this kind of enclave of a house that you don't ever see and you don't expect. So you walk in at the half level entry and you're greeted with this really beautiful mahogany staircase, and it's a floating stair, so you can see right through it, but your eye is kind of drawn upwards because you now get a bigger view of the house. There's all of this light that comes in through all of the windows, so that it's kind of a wow moment as you open the door. So I think most people will come in they'll go upstairs first, and right as you're walking in, you're now seeing even more of the house and the valley, we're in this really beautiful valley on almost like a 30-degree slope.
Yeah, wow.
Um, so you get this really great view of all of those trees that are surrounding us, like right around the house, but also the green of the trees out in the valley. And you kind of like don't even see the rest of the house yet because your view is kind of straight out the valley that you're like, wow, like where am I? This is unlike any, you're in the hill country almost.
Yeah.
So then as your eyes adjust to all of the sun, you kind of now can pick up the house. You get a lot of views of the Western red cedar tongue and groove ceiling. You
Hmm.
now see kind of the open layout of the home, which was something that we worked on in that first phase of the remodel. For the viewers that are looking on YouTube, I'll kind of go back and forth between the existing
So
and
this is the
and
original.
new.
Yeah, now. Yeah. And
Yeah, and
the
for
sorry, I was going to say the actual footprint here is the same footprint with some additions put in decking and stuff outside, but the actual internal space is the same as it was, just
yeah, more
beautifully
of like a shell and
reorganized.
core. It like there was nothing it for, a remodel and addition. Sometimes you're wanting to adjust the shell and core of the home, right? To give it some, maybe there was an idea of
Mhm.
architecture that just wasn't quite like, it needs to be elevated. This house didn't need any of those things.
Mm.
Which is why I was so excited to get something so beautiful. It was already a jewel. It just needed to be polished up a little bit.
I like that.
Um, and so, yeah, like the shell and core, basically the same, and all of the spaces are all in the same spots. It was just kind of opening up the spaces to the view, as well as creating some of the additions that are the exterior spaces that now the interior can connect to the exterior, and now we can use kind of all of the site and the home.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, you now get to see all of the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, all in one space. And then if you might walk out, well, you're going to walk towards the dining room because I think you're going to be gravitated towards the view. And then that's when you discover the pool that we added on because it's at a lower level. It's at the lower level finished floor height. But you now get to see kind of you've walked out like towards the dining room enough that now you have the view to downtown Austin, which is also kind of another secondary surprise it's unexpected. You might have seen the view as you've come up into Jester neighborhood, but now you get to see it through the house. And it really kind of opens up to seeing like all of the things that we've added on in the exterior and kind of all of this extra space that you didn't think we had. And one
I
of
th
the like fun things for the visitor it's like a small little addition is in this. It's like it was the existing planters. There were two window planters in the home. And one of them we switched out and put in a kind of an album vinyl storage record cabinet. So we've got, because the house, we call it the Sterling Cooper house because it's got this vibe of, we were watching Mad Men at the time. So like very mid-century, very cool. You
yeah,
walk in, you feel like you've time warped a little bit and you kind of want to have a martini as you walk through
yeah.
the home, right? So we named it the Sterling Cooper because it was a little bit of the project brief, the feeling that we wanted of the house and like what it had already and what we wanted to keep.
Yeah,
So like
I love that romantic piece of you transition. And so for the people listening, and when you come and visit this home, play the Sterling Cooper piece, play that out in your mind. You walk in, you put on a record, you make yourself a martini, you kick back, you look at the view of Austin downtown through the trees, you know, play that out in your head of that little game of the transition points. It's so fabulous to go into a home that transitions you from the outside world into this inside world, but still connects with another world beyond it that you didn't expect, which is your city views and pieces. I'll be
Yeah,
doing that when I do it. Yeah.
well, and I'll shake you a martini when you
We're
get here
on.
too.
We're yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so and for this dining deck, I know when we were talking about this addition originally, like I said, Sean only wanted the pool, but for an architect, like it's not just the pool, it's kind of the spaces around it. How are
Yeah.
you going to use the pool? How there's so many other things that come with it, right? I would say unfortunately, but I think fortunately, we created all of these other additional spaces. So this dining deck was one of the ones that I thought like it was lower on the list. If things got out of control, we
Yeah.
didn't need it. But we went ahead to do it because the access to the house, especially now that we have all of this pool with the steep grade, if we ever wanted to do it in the future, it would be so difficult to do that that's one of those things that it was a conversation that like, of course, that's something that we don't need. But if we ever think we made the wrong choice, this is the time to, kind of on the side of caution and just do it. And now I'm so glad that we did because it's a beautiful, wonderful, kind of quiet space that is like great for a morning coffee or I guess a morning cocktail if you need it. Um, a mimosa.
or a mimosa or a Bloody Mary. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, depending on how the martinis were the night before.
That's it. Yeah.
Uh,
That's how we
but
roll.
yeah, you have yeah, like it's such a quiet space to be able to walk out, have a nice coffee, have that view of downtown, and just kind of quietly contemplate kind of the start of your day.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think then the viewer, like you guys might then take the floating steel staircase down to the pool because I think you're already outside, you see the stair, and I think hopefully you're curious about the kind of form of it, which I think in the expanding on the project brief, this house has an established language. It's something that I loved about it, and it's something that I didn't want to change about it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing for an architect or firm to figure out is kind of where do you stop the current language and where do you start a new one? So for me, it was important that anything that was kind of on the shell and core, it stayed true to the deck house
hmm
language.
hmm
But, like for the stair, that's not kind of a typical thing that is happening
hmm
in these homes. And this infinity pool and this pool deck. So these extra items is where I got to kind of play a little bit more
Well,
creatively as like an architect.
this is the
Yeah,
modernization of a space. So it's not just, oh, we redid a new kitchen and we upgraded, made our vinyl deck or our vinyl space.
like storage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
vinyl storage and stuff. It's actually how you extended the home and where you extended these pieces outside of the original footprint. You actually took them to being more modern, but still sympathetic. They still play beautifully, but it's like, you know, upgrading your wardrobe, or it's like it's that thing of we're not stuck in the past. We're playing
yeah.
with that and the future.
Yeah, but you still want it all to go together. So
Yeah.
all of the spacing is still the same. I'm still working on the 8 foot established grid, but I'm changing the materials so it's very specific and for the viewers that maybe aren't an architect, like you're still going to say, wow, like why does that look so different? And that's
Yeah.
because it's a new addition and I wanted it to be like very obvious. And same
So,
as the pool. So like concrete, this pool deck is a different material than the original kind of deck house style deck, but it still has the same spacing. And even like the kind of nerdy details for the architects or designers that come to visit, the steel columns at the pool deck, it has a similar trim detail to all of the house where
nice.
for the house it's a 4x4 wood column with kind of 1x trim on the outside that kind of sandwiches it, kind of cool
hmm
mid-century style. For the pool deck, it's a 4x4 HSS steel column with 1x steel plates on the
On either
outside of
side.
it to stiffen it up, but
Yep.
also give us that same kind of detail. And those are the things that, like, I know
I
for
would.
my own home, like, you just get to be as nerdy as you want. And that was something like Sean didn't understand. He's like, why wouldn't we just use a bigger column? Like, Sean, like this is where I need to let me play a little bit, and
Yeah.
you're gonna love it. You just won't know why.
Well, I think what it does is it also keeps that storyline. And
Yes.
these little details. So when you come and visit this home, have a look at those two column things. And this is where you are playing a more modern game of a previous game, but not breaking the mold. You're
Yeah.
working with it. You're letting it inform the rhythm. It's got its personality, and then what you're doing is you're adding another layer of personality that it's growing into. And I think that that's
Yeah.
the part of the genius. Show us
Yeah. And it's
downstairs.
okay. So then downstairs, we also kind of same story as like a light interior touches. We did remove an existing, it was kind of a half circle hearth, stone hearth with a wood burning fireplace that we removed when we first moved here so that we could fit a full-size pool table. That's one of those things that like we don't burn a lot of wood anyways. So I was willing to get rid
Yeah.
of it. We still actually have the wood burning fireplace just in case, because, if somebody is a purist and wants to bring it back, I didn't want to deny them that. But yeah, to like open this up, make this a place that now as you go down the stairs, if from the entry, you kind of also get a fun surprise of this, like we've got a bar, we've got a pool table, we've got like musical instruments. It's like this like fun area to hang out, and that now connects all the way to the pool. So all of the pool deck, all of this is all at the same level. So it's very kind of California style where the
Mm.
interior connects to the exterior, which we didn't have before because the site is so steep. So kind of all of the downstairs is the office, the guest bedroom, our second bath, and then this kind of family room style. But now the office, which I'm in right now for the viewers
Yeah.
watching, and the guest bedroom, we swapped out the windows that were here with sliding glass doors. And now we have access to all of this exterior space here that was unusable before. It's right up against the street, but we've got some privacy, some really cool steel privacy panels. And now we've got this really great outdoor space with like a hammock nook, fireplace. We've got bocce court. For Texans, we like to play washers. So there's also some holes so that
Oh,
you can
cool.
throw
Yeah.
washers. And then this really beautiful concrete wall that helps to level this space out so that, it's not so treacherous of terrain.
Yeah. So take us to photos, and I want you to start with, well, actually, you choose where you start, but start outside with this. Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's do
So
outside. So this is as you're walking in, you've come down that driveway, and this is your view to the
hold
house
on.
where,
We're not there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're there.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
lag. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can kind of see that really beautiful live oak tree that kind of, it
Mm,
literally hangs over the house. That's one of those things that, it's really important to me. Some people might trim this tree back more
mm.
so that it's not so treacherous and close to the house. But I think it's so important to see all of this greenery from the windows, from that clear story in the primary
Yeah.
suite
Yeah.
that we have an arborist that is our best friend, is out here all the time making sure that these trees are in tip-top condition so that we're giving the trees a good life, but also the house is kind of surrounded in it. Then we would walk into, sorry,
It's okay.
they're a little
All
bit
good.
out of order. Let's go back to, this is that front entry
Yeah.
with that waffle door, all of the mahogany railing. It's just like really warm, beautiful, and like a lot of the natural light. You see so much natural light kind of playing
Absolutely.
inside of the house. Really wonderful.
And I love the
Um,
waffle. I love the waffle door, like it's I was going to say almost a thing of the past, but it's not.
yeah.
But it harks back to, that beautiful Californian style. And this is what we get when we come upstairs.
So this is like as described, like you kind of come upstairs and now this is your first view, which is like we've got great furniture, but you're not looking at that yet. You're looking
No.
straight out into the valley to see all of the tree-lined valley, which I'm not sure. No, the trees won't be red yet, but we have got a lot of red oaks in this
Oh,
valley.
wow.
So during the
Yeah.
fall time, it's really beautiful. But, just it's the natural state. It's really green, really luscious, and really beautiful.
Before I
Um,
was saying how much I love this house, and I'm looking at the the view there now, and I go, oh, it's just clicked to me. When I grew up as a kid, that was my view. Not in Texas, but in Wellington in New Zealand. I had a view almost identical to that. So it
Yeah.
probably just pulled straight on a heartstring that was like, yeah, this is what it was like when you grew up. Big windows, looking out at a big view like that of bushland and way over to hills and those shapes. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's just really magical and kind of
Mm.
unlike anything. Not a lot of Texas homes look like this, so that's why,
Hmm.
I just feel so lucky to have gotten such a gem.
Yeah,
And then let's see, we would turn, well, this is kind of looking back towards where we just were, but like, yeah, look at the beautiful Western red cedar ceilings. It's
yeah.
actually a structural tongue and groove ceiling. So for all of those building enclosure nerds, I'll have a lot of these materials so that we can talk about the kind of atypical way this house is built, but also kind of why it was so important that we got a great general contractor because
Hmm.
not every contractor is willing to work on these kind of weirder style homes. So we had a great partner in Wood Eye Construction, and they saw how the challenge and they were excited by it, which is, for architects, that's a great fit
Oh
for
yeah.
us.
Yeah, that's magic. That's magic. And that is part of the thing, it's a team. It's a team.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and then here is the kitchen. And so kind of beforehand, we had this really beautiful mahogany double-sided bookshelf that was a divider between these spaces, which I still have, and I have plans to use it in the future. But
Sh-
for use,
Sean,
I
don't
know,
panic.
Sean, don't listen.
Yeah, exactly. Sean, block your ears.
But it's, when we first moved in, you were standing in the kitchen and there was a view of downtown. You just couldn't see it because this bookshelf was in the way. We also had a pantry that was built that was kind of in the way. So, this view is an amazing view. And it's one of those things that, of course, I would love a big pantry, but like the view is far more valuable to us than this
Yeah.
pantry. So we're going to figure out how to make do with it.
Well, I think the thing there is you probably have a grocery store pretty close by, and it's not like the olden days where you had to drive an hour and a half to the grocery store. You can probably pick something up if you need it, like within
Yeah, sure.
minutes, within minutes. So the way we store food previously and the way we need to store food now, give or take a pandemic, and running out of toilet paper, we're really pretty privileged now. There's stuff on hand all the time. So,
Yeah, and that's the one thing about working on your own home that like sometimes this would be a conversation with clients is like, this would be great for you guys to get rid of this pantry, but if that's your lifestyle and that's something that's, a deal breaker for you that we need to keep this, we'll work around it.
then
But
we'll
for
make it.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, if we have to pick form over function, I lean heavier towards form, and I'm
Yeah.
willing to work around that if it makes more sense for the home or if it makes more sense for this kind of
Yeah.
this
To
space.
maximizing the living in the home,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
and as you say, everybody's needs are different. This here's my little kind of I'm in love with this piece as well. Your vinyl selection. It's like going to an old store in the 70s or 80s and flipping through the albums.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
so
think
cool.
for the people that are coming to visit, I would love for you guys to thumb through our album selection and hopefully, you'll get to know us a little bit more by the music that we listen to. I'm always so excited or curious to hear what, people gravitate towards. So
Yeah.
I would love for you guys to come and thumb through our records.
Well, actually, are
Let's
you
see.
going to theme the house with music playing for the open
Of
home?
course. So a little bit about Sean. Sean is in finance, which is brought to you, this house is brought to you by thankfully to Sean.
Yeah.
But he was an audio engineer beforehand. And so music is
Ah.
very important to him. And so anytime we have guests over, dinner parties, just parties, he always wants to score the experience for you. So he will definitely have a home store playlist that kind of establishes the vibe that we want you to feel as you move through the
Okay,
house.
so can you also ask Sean if he could give us, is it on Spotify or Apple Music
Oh,
or
yeah.
something?
I'll ask him to put it on Spotify so we can share it with
Put
everyone.
it on Spotify and we'll put a link in the show notes for it so that you can have a little drop into the vibe and
Yeah.
yeah, and have your martini.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I for the listeners, I pulled up the final photo from Rob, which is the kind of nighttime setting. You see the pool, and then you're looking actually back towards the house. But I feel like it encompasses the vibe, the kind of like the warm light. You can see the pool table, you can see some of the fun furniture, but really it's like it's quiet and it says that you want to come inside and have a drink and that it's like it's fun, but
Mm,
you know, I don't I think it's a very vibey house, and that's the one thing that I think you can hint at in pictures,
yeah.
but you don't get until you actually go into the space. And I think that's something that is why I encourage most people to come out here and come check our house out.
I totally agree. Look, I travel a lot and I go and look at architecture all around the world. I have a TV show where I write architecture for people as well. And, you can experience a home through this. You can put on Sean's playlist and look at photos. You can do all those things, but you can't feel it. You can't feel it. And when you go into a space, you can feel the space, and how the space feels is how it emotionalizes for you. You may have a
Yeah,
prerequisite of what you think it will be, but getting the feel for it is absolutely everything. But it's a
yeah,
fabulous
agreed.
job, a really fabulous job. And I would encourage viewers, but then also the people who are on the tour to stand back. And I'm not going to get you to show it, but to stand back and take in the steel wrapped staircase, and then also
Hmm.
the bocce court, and imagine living in a home like this and soaking it up and letting it soak you up. And it's beautiful. And also the fact that this was an 80s house, and now it's got, and yes, it was an 80s house that had so many overtones from the 60s, but
Yeah,
it's got that California vibe that is now into a Texas vibe. It's got that hill country kind of feel, but it's not necessarily right in the hill country. It's got all those different factors that are going on. And I can see why Ingrid and the team put this on the tour for sure. It's so beautiful. Great work.
thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like the house is now my new personality. So if you ever wondered who I am as a person, who I am as a designer, now you can just come and experience it without me having to tell you.
100%. Oh, well, really, really cool house to have on the tour. And yeah, look, thank you for presenting it to us. And I hope to see you on tour with a martini.
Yeah, let me know so that I can have it cold and ready for you.
It depends where I'm driving to next. Yeah, no, no, for sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cheers, Candace. So I hope you've really enjoyed that. And if you'd like to stick around for about another 5 or 10 minutes, you can hear what Rob Gomez, the photographer who took the photos of all these homes, has to say about this particular home. And he's joined by Ingrid Spencer, the director of the AIA Austin, and their comments are really fascinating, how they viewed these homes, much like the public would. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Take care. Sterling Cooper House, Candace Wong, and I believe this is her own home.
This is
Um,
her own. Yes.
and
That is her own cat. I'm so glad you got the kitty in there.
yeah, exactly. And she's got two cats, I believe. And this is the one that turns up for photos, and the other one doesn't.
Yep.
And it again, a phenomenal home. And really interesting. It's a renovation, and it comes from a home that, from what I understand, started out as a show home for a company that built homes. So that's from a home builder. And so the additions that she's done. Ingrid, tell us about putting it on the tour.
Sure. And we didn't just put it on the tour because the wonderful Candace Wong was our homes tour committee chair last year. She still has to go through the same submission process. But that, I mean, this house is an incredible story because, like you said, Adrian, the Acorn Deck House Company, which started in 1947 in
Wow.
Massachusetts, they would make modular housing, and you could send them all over the country and put them together. You know, it's a kit of parts.
Mm.
And so this was one. So they were trying to expand their reach into Texas. In 1981, this house was put together. And then Candace got her hands on it. And as an architect, she renovated, transformed it, but kept the whole look and feel and so much about, you know, what it was meant to be, which was this mid-century modern beauty, which is why she calls it the Sterling Cooper House after Mad Men.
Yeah.
But it, to me, walking in this house, I felt like I was in Monterey, California, because the wood and the trees and just the feel of it, it's felt very California to me, but just a wonderful place, and the wood and the cats. And she's done like the furniture choices, of course, the interiors are wonderful, but yeah, it's an experience. So happy that she's allowing it to be on the tour.
Yeah, it's got some magic for sure, and that Western red cedar and stuff like that that's in the home. And again, I love the fact that she's taken this, home that was basically something that was a thing of parts that you could order in parts, and they, from what I understand, made this a show home in the area as they were trying to expand into Texas. And then she managed to unlock a whole nother level of magic with this home that, that obviously had some contract to put it up and gone and done all the rest. And then she rediscovered it and unlocked these magical spaces within it. Rob, other than the cat, what were you trying to get in this photograph, man?
Yeah, so this was very much, I mean, I love this house as well. I lived in the Bay Area a while back for a few years, and it really reminded me of houses there. I think, like, all the trees and the wood interiors and everything. But this particular shot was also a funny one. Like, this is the downstairs. It's a split level house, so this was like a second sort of living room area downstairs. They had a pool table there. They had a bar. It was a very busy room, I guess. And so I was trying to find a way to show the best parts of it that drew my eye in. And the light coming in, being able to see outside, being able to see the separation of sort of the opening of the upper level with that gap to the left that creates sort of the space in between the two stories. And then, as I'm framing the shot, there, Billy Ray Cyrus, the cat, just kind of popped into that little spot. So
Billy Ray Wong.
Billy Ray Wong. Sorry. Billy Ray Wong. And so we just kind of put that perfect finishing touch on the photo. And yeah.
I think I actually thought when I saw this photo, first of all, Rob, that you were, playing with that idea of starting up one of those Instagram pages where you just show, cute cat pictures and stuff. So if you're into cute cat pictures, don't miss this. Make sure you come and have a look. But it's classic, the cat, and also the cat's big personality. It's its home. You were in its home, and it's allowed Candace and Sean to live with it, is kind of the feeling I get. Yeah.
Not shy either. He was in every shot that he could get into, he would pop in there. So
yeah, the diva cat.
Yeah. he or she, I forget, there was two, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then this
Mm.
was the primary bathroom. This, I mean, for me, the lighting and everything, it doesn't really get better than this for me as a photographer when I see a space like that, just kind of ready, asking for the photo in that moment. And this was one that I really liked because this was a redo. I had taken this shot basically maybe an hour or two earlier, looked great as well, but it's one of those where you pop back in a few hours later and then it looks like this with the light kind of pouring in there on the closet doors there on the right and just kind of filling the room, the space even more, drawing you into the right over there, which is where the shower and everything is, and again just the showing the design and everything here of like the wood, the white walls, the black floor there is just very again elegant, this word. It's very like cool, slick, very, I guess, very Mad Men, which is
I think so, like that we've got a company from 1947 from up east that is playing California Sea Ranch in Texas. And then you get a shot like this where you've got the big tree outside that suddenly is all over the doors because of the light angle playing through the window. And you've got all the foliage there as well. And I imagine when you're actually in there and that's moving gently in the breeze and stuff, you're getting a whole nother experience. Like it, this thing about architecture, and we can experience it through a photo like this, but we can't feel it through this. We can only imagine this. And so the next step is actually truly feeling it. And that's what these incredibly generous homeowners do with the tour. And Austin's success, and we'll give that all to you, Ingrid. And I know you picked it up after other people had done it before you, but certainly have made a magical thing out of getting a sneak peek on the neighbors, or getting a sneak peek on the on the different levels of how architecture improves life and brings joy, and the way it can be so diverse and it can shift your emotions around. Can only do that by being in the space. And Rob, you capture this so beautifully. As you said, there's other photos like this without that light, and then there's photos like this with that light, and that makes it so magical as well, because we're all sitting here going, well, you two have experienced, I haven't, but we can imagine Sterling Cooper, Mad Men, the martini, the whatever, the record playing, a bit of vinyl spinning or whatever, and then you've got this wood, you've got kind of this Californian-y vibe, but you're in Texas where it's got a whole nother vibe going on, and that outdoors is pouring in through the windows over above you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What else have you got?
So the last one,
I thought you were just going to give me a cat picture, man. Just
so this is the obvious, if you have a view like that, you have to show it at some point in the house. But whenever I get the opportunity in a project, I love sort of, so I mean, this was more a more obvious photo, but when you can create these images where it's like 20% architecture and then the rest is sort of landscape or sort of where it's located in. Always find those fun. You show just a little peek of this is still the same house. You have the pool, the deck there, but look where it is in the greater context.
Yeah.
And this was,
What a great
Uh,
view of downtown Austin peeking out down there. This at night would be a whole nother experience with the pool lighting and
yes.
then having all those lights that lead you to the downtown of Austin and the high rises. It's again very Mad Men, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, this was a good, it was one of the later shots we did. I think maybe there was one other version of this, but there was kind of one spot where you could see the house and the view, and this was it. And so
mm,
we got it. And I think I think it was a pretty cool day. I was kind of drawn in with the haziness of it, with the clouds and everything. Candace was obviously she lives there, so she's used to seeing this every night, and she was like wanting this more shiny, I guess if it's clear, the buildings
mhm.
down there a little bit shiny and pop a little more. But I kind of like this vibe that we got that day. And
Yeah,
I was pretty happy with it.
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Ingrid, any roundup on this one? Obviously, it is again a journey into this is a renovation and an addition, and
Yeah.
I looking through the other photos, there's a really magical outdoor staircase on this one as well that transitions you from sort of the old to the modern. And yeah, we're not going to show you that here. You're going to have to wait for that one. In fact, you're probably going to have to go on tour to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's attached to the addition that Candace did on the house. But I think it's a beautiful home, and we're always so grateful when architects or builders let us into their own
Mm.
homes.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a treat, isn't it?
Mhm.
Well, let's see you all on the tour.
Can't wait.
Right?
Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.